My name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. Welcome, everybody, to Thursday on my Independence Report, which means, being that it's Thursday and all, that MTS Management sponsors this segment by getting me some of the best people on the planet to come talk about music and what they do. And Michael Stover is, I don't know when the man sleeps. He works incredibly hard to make sure his talent gets what they deserve and gets all the stuff that they have coming to them, which is really good things. And one of the guys that I've been looking forward to interviewing for a while is Bill Abernathy, and he is sitting right over there in front of all them guitars. I bet there's a bunch of money tied up in them guitars, isn't there?
Well, it's wood. Wood doesn't come free, so yeah, there might be $1 or $2 invested in those guitars. My insurance agent knows the full number, so there you go.
Well, hopefully that will never come into play.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
So you are in parts unknown. We will not tell anybody where you're at so that they won't come bother you.
Oh no, it's cool. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. And enjoy living here. And by the way, Kevin, I'm very honored to be on your show. I was looking at some of your previous shows. Man, you bring on some big hitters. And so for just an old hippie living in a loft down by the river in Kansas City, Missouri, this is a bit of an honor, man.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But you are a big hitter as well. And you are a singer-songwriter and in the country/folk genre. And you're a storyteller. And I was reading your bio, and the lyrics seem to come first, and then the music and stuff, because you have something to say, you have a story to say it. Now, before we get into that, I gotta give you props, because you're doing something that I value highly and suggest that everybody on the planet go do. You were in the corporate world for over 40 years. You started out on sweeping the floor, and you ended up owning the floor, and being in the leadership group. You traveled around the world. You raised a couple of kids. You had a really good time, and then it was time to retire. And most guys, I know in the profession that I was in, most people go, now what? Now what am I going to go do? And they have trouble figuring out what they're going to do after 40 years of doing one thing and transitioning into another. Well, you have done just that, and now you're following your passion. And I encourage everybody to do exactly that. Follow your passion, live your life to its fullest. And even if you have to learn something new, but please do it. So I want to applaud you and hold you up as the gold standard of a guy that's following his dreams after having a great corporate career.
Well, I would challenge the gold standard, right? Yeah. So I did have a great corporate career, and I really enjoyed what I did. I worked with some really, really great people for a really good organization, and they gave me a lot of freedom to do a lot of cool things. And it was challenging and very interesting. And as with most corporate gigs, it was an 80-hour-a-week thing, and I did travel all over the world and got to meet all kinds of different people and eat all kinds of different foods and drink all kinds of different beers, which I'm a fan of really good beer. I drink about 3 or 4 a month, so I'm gonna go for the quality and not the quantity, right? But in about 2016, 2017 is when my kids were old enough and they had started their careers. They graduated from school and chased their dreams. They were both athletes, and they chased their dreams all through college. My son played a little bit of pro ball, and then they started their lives. And I kind of looked in the drawer one day, Kevin, and said, man, I got all these ideas. I've got all these thoughts. I got all these stories that have happened to me over all these years. I just wonder if there is actually an audience out there to listen to, some old hippie music that's telling stories and maybe throwing in a life lesson or two. And I've come to find out, shockingly enough, there is, right? And
Yeah.
so I did do the double dip, right? The double dip thing from 2017 until last November. And then last November, I got out of the corporate gig and kind of focusing a little bit more on just nothing but music these days. I will be honest with you. I actually think I'm working harder now than I did at the corporate thing.
You will, but it doesn't seem like it because it's your passion.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We were joking earlier just on the pre-show. I mean, I was almost late to the thing. I had one of the boys down today and was playing around trying to do some stuff, figure out some things. And had it not been for the fact that I set an alarm, you and I would not be talking right now. I was kind of in the mode, man. I was in there. So yeah.
Yeah. So you're one of your boys played pro ball. What kind of pro ball?
A little baseball. Yeah, a little bit of baseball. I was fortunate, and I'm going to brag. I'm a dad. I'm also a grandpa, so you got to put up with that just a bit. Both of my kids, I had a daughter and a son, were 3-time All-Americans in college.
Wow.
Both of them were full-time, full ride babies to Division I schools. They had tremendous careers, very talented, very, very talented. And Chad had a lot of opportunities. And did quite well, and ended up playing a little bit, about 5 minutes of pro ball, but he can check the box, man. I did it, and my daughter has 3 kids, twin grandsons who are 16 that are both athletic. And so I support that. And she has a 4-year-old little girl named Addie who is in charge. That's just all I can tell you. It doesn't matter. She's in charge. So they might be just a little bit spoiled, maybe by their grandpa.
Wow. But you see, you're allowed now to spoil your grandchildren. And that's almost an accepted thing. So that's really cool that you're able to do that, and you're able to have a good time with them. And your son, he played pro ball. I know a guy who was the number 1 draft choice of the entire free agent or the entire college draft in '75 and never played a lick of Major League ball.
Yeah. Chad learned really, really early in his career to set some expectations, right? And so he was fortunate that in some summer ball, he got to play with some guys that made it to the bigs. One of the guys is Alex Gordon, who is a Kansas City Royal, legendary kind of guy. And Chad learned that if you really want to make it, there's some things that you have to do and some things you have to be. He did all the things that he had to do, but he was not 6'2" and 215 pounds. He was 5'9" and 175 pounds. So he found out really quickly that size does matter in that particular world. So yeah.
Yeah, but he got to rub elbows with some great guys, and he learned all about playing the game and taking care of his body and all that kind of good stuff. So, and those are things that will carry him forward for the rest of his life.
I used to go watch him hit in the off seasons and in the same facility that Albert Pujols used to work out in.
Sure.
And he got to know Albert, and they were kind of buddies. And I could stand in the gym without knowing where anybody was, and I could tell you which tunnel Albert was hitting in versus which tunnel Chad was hitting in. Chad's went bang, Albert's went boom. There was a difference. Yeah.
It's amazing, but it sounds different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without the clang of the aluminum bat, which is quite a challenge and a change from college ball to pro ball.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to flush it up if you're going to hit it with wood, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about you, shall we?
Sure.
You've been playing. You've got some music out. We're going to play some music with you. Tell us about where you're going to take your career.
That's a great question because I don't really know. Right. I like to write. I enjoy writing. I really enjoy recording. I enjoy the working in the studio and working with all the musicians and the production elements of all the music. I enjoy that. I love playing live some, but I'm not one of those guys that wants to go out and play 4 or 5 nights a week. It's really not my thing. So I get to be selective of not only where, but when and how often I play. And that's a real benefit to me. But I will continue to write. I will continue to produce music as long as I conceivably can. You know, there's going to be some point where I just get so old that I just suck. And at that point, I'll probably quit, you know, but until that day, you know, until that day comes, I suppose there's probably some people that think it's already came, but until that day comes, you know, me and the guitars, some are boys, some are girls. So me and the guitars will continue to do what we do and tell a few stories.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that even though you may not want to play and sing anymore, you can still write. And then you have somebody that is younger and full of gusto that plays your songs and plays your music in the style you want them to play, and it can continue on into forever.
You mean the young, skinny, hard body guys with a full head of hair? Is that what you're talking about, Kevin?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I interviewed a guy not too long ago. He's actually got cast as Johnny Cash in I don't know if you saw that one, and his name escapes me at the minute. It'll come to me. But he's great looking. He's got a wonderful voice, baritone voice, and all that. He's got everything going. He's an actor. He's a singer. He's a writer. And it's like, well, damn. That's not me, but you know that.
Well, you know, Kevin, I kind of look at that and say, you know, there was a time in my life when I was that guy. You know, that time was a long time ago, and it was before, you know, your cell phones and a million selfie pictures. But there are memories of me when I was that guy, and so I could always say I did that, and I moved on. You know, I'm now embracing the dad bod. You know, that's what they say. That's the hot thing these days, right? Gray hair and dad bod. I'm there for you.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because we've already done that. We've been there. We've seen that. And now we're we're experiencing the downward side of that, but it can be just as exciting for us as it is for them because it can continue to grow.
I would challenge the downward side. So I like my life a heck of a lot better now than I did when I was, you know, 21, for example. So, you know, there's a learning curve that you pick up over time that kind of makes things a lot easier, you know. And so I wouldn't trade it for the world.
And when you were 21, if somebody told you that you'd be sitting here having a music interview, you've got grandkids, you've got kids that are doing well, you live in a nice house, you got a bunch of guitars, things are good, you'd say that would be all right if I could make that work.
Yeah, it's not a bad ride. Not a bad ride at all.
You've done well. You've done well. And I appreciate now you're in your storytelling. Let's talk about that a little bit. What types of stories do you like to tell? And are they all personal things? Are they combinations of friends, family, personal stuff? Are they positive or are they, well, you tell us.
Well, I think that we could use one of my little mantras that I have for my music. You know, there's a little thing on my website that says, if you hear a song that sounds like it was written about you, it may have been. That's the way that I roll. You know, it may be an interaction that I have with somebody, a conversation that I have with someone. Heck, I got a song that I wrote about somebody I never even met. I just watched them when I was hanging out in the Atlanta airport one day, you know, and I just looked at them and said, I wonder what their story is, you know, and so my mind just kind of went there. And so it's just whatever, you know, whatever kind of tweaks my mind and you know gets me kind of rolling on an inspirational way, you know. So sometimes it's watching the news, you know, which is I don't know that that's inspirational, but you know, it just depends, you know. So I'm not a guy that gets up every Tuesday and say it's Tuesday, I've got to write a song today. It's not really how I work. So something's got to kind of tweak my interest and get the juices flowing, and then from there we go. But the songs are some are inspirational, some are really personal. I'm a singer songwriter, so people like to people like to listen to a singer songwriter, reach into their chest and pull out their heart and hang it out here and let people shoot arrows at it. Well, I have songs like that. Yeah? I have some songs that are kind of humorous. I have some songs that are kind of somewhat inspirational. I have a song about my father that I wrote about the day that my father passed away that I consider to be pretty inspirational. So, that's the advantage of being a singer-songwriter. You can write about whatever you want. So I think we have enough songs about, I broke up with my boyfriend and my life has gone to pot. We get a lot of those on the radio. I'm really not the guy that's going to tell you about how sad I am that my truck broke down. That's not how I roll. So I'm going to write about things that are real, things that are real to me.
Exactly. And let's talk about 1,000 Wild Horses. Now that was released earlier in the year, I do believe, and it's done well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's kicked off. I haven't looked at the data, but it's doing well. It's doing well. And actually the radio promotion hasn't really even started yet. So it's just now starting to roll. So I expect that the 1,000 Wild Horses song will mirror and equal some of the other big hits that we've had, that end up with hundreds of thousands of streams and, all that stuff. But it's an absolutely fantastic song. And I say that because I didn't write it. It's one of those songs that I heard and I thought, I wonder, and so I listened to it again and I listened to it again, and it is as close to a perfect song that I have ever ran across in my life, because it talks about all of the things that each of us have, right? All of the baggage that each of us carry, things from the past, might be a bad relationship or, an addiction problem, or, you might have anger issues or, whatever, right? It talks about how that baggage that we carry with us every day can be one of two things. It can either tear us down or we could learn how to manage that. And Gary Burr, who wrote the song, drew a beautiful analogy to all of that baggage being like 1,000 wild horses running behind you, hell bent on running you down, right? It's a great analogy. And when I listened to it, I think personally that there are songs that meet you at a place in your life. So everybody has a favorite song, right? And, that song will take you to a place where you were, right? I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, yeah, I have one of those. It's Paradise by the Dashboard Lights by Meatloaf. I said, okay, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Stop that. Stop that madness, right? But these songs can take you to those places, and this particular song does that for me. I was just hanging out at the house the other day and I got a text, and the text was from a friend, and then the content of the text was telling me about somebody else. That is, somebody else was somebody from my past that maybe it didn't go as well as it could have, right? And so I immediately went there. I thought, oh man, that really made me mad, and I was really angry about that, and blah 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 blah. And then Gary came back to me and said, Bill, it's just another one of those damn horses. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to let that text and that memory screw up your day, or are you going to manage that, get on that horse and ride it into the future? Absolutely beautiful song. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to cover that song and put it out there.
Well, it's doing well. What do you suppose it is with South Africa? How come? What's going on down there? It seems to be a hotbed of country music down there.
Well, I think there are a bunch of old hippies that live down there. Yeah,
Good cheek.
yeah, and they just like that style of music. I know that my stuff does really well down there. I think the gentleman you may have been talking about earlier was Matt Weston. His stuff does
Yes.
extremely well down there, and so who knows? Maybe it's just somebody's got the right connections. But whatever it is, I'm in. Anytime you can hit a #1 iTunes chart, I'm in. So I don't really care if it's in South Africa or Timbuktu.
Well, and I'll tell you, Michael Stover's got quite a stable with him. He announced just the other day that another person I've interviewed, Pamela Hopkins, did have 500,000 download or streams on Spotify.
Yeah,
for her recent.
Oh, look, we have a visitor.
Oh, who is that?
Oh, this is the Wharf. This is the Wharf. Come here, Wharf. Yeah, yeah. This is my pup. His name is Wharf. If you know why and where the name Wharf, WORF, came from, I'm going to give you extra bonus points.
Wharf. It's not Star Wars. That's no. Oh, of course.
Star Trek. Yeah, Lieutenant Commander Worf, right? And Worf is he's my buddy. He's my COVID pup, and I got him when he was 8 weeks old, and actually just right at a year ago right now. So he hangs out with me.
What kind of puppy is he?
He's what they call a Beagle. So he's half Beagle and half English Bulldog.
So, there's a combination.
Oh yeah. No, he's a good pup. He's really bright. He can bay and make a lot of noise like a beagle, and he's got that whole cool thing going on like the bulldogs. He's got the strut. So they say that you should have a dog that looks like you. So Worf's kind of short and squatty, and that's kind of me. Squatty body,
I would love to have seen how your dog was made, because that doesn't seem like that's a natural combination of those two.
Well, much like the line about paradise and the dashboard lights, there's just some things you don't talk about. You don't want to know that.
So I've got 1,000 Wild Horses queued up, ready to play. I would love to play that for our audience so that you can get a taste of two things. One is a great song, and the other thing is how Bill Abernathy puts it all together and makes it work for you. So with that, this is Bill Abernathy, 1,000 Wild Horses.
Just when I thought the demons I fought were dead and gone, straight out of the blue, someone like you comes along, and I don't have to turn and look over my shoulder. I already know from the song. There's 1,000 wild horses thundering behind me, hell-bent on running me down. I thought I was fast, but the sins of my past were faster still. And I'm wasting my time trying to leave them behind, 'cause I never will. You see, one drink too many, one kiss too deep, and I feel a little shake in the pound. That's 1,000 wild horses thundering behind me, hell-bent on running me down. Each one is branded, each one is mine, each one's a darkness I can't deny. I know they're coming, there's no place to hide. I'm gonna get run down, or I'm gonna run. 1,000 cloud of dust, but pretty soon I'm gonna do something stupid like I tend to do, and I let them loose. So if you're thinking that maybe you're the one who could save me, baby, this ain't no merry-go-round. It's 1,000 wild horses thumbing behind me, hell-bent on running me down. It's 1,000 wild horses thumbing behind me, hell-bent on running me down.
And that is Bill Abernathy, 1,000 Wild Horses. I love that song. That's got and your treatment of it is really spot on too.
Yeah, we were fortunate. You know, a lot of the guys that I play with, the studio guys, are they're jazz guys. You know, the Kansas City's kind of big on that. And when I went in, I remember the drummer. His name is Thomas Freight Train. Yeah, one of those names, right? Thomas Freight Train Walker. And I played the song, you know, and we always talk through the lyrics so that they understand, you know, what the message is. And I played the song, and Thomas, who is just as cool as ice, he's just the coolest guy, right? He just looked at me and he said, "Bill, I think we need to take that down a little bit. Let me set the tempo, and you play along with me for a while, and let's see where that goes." And you know, those guys are just magic, you know. And so we backed the tempo down and added the mandolin, which was some advice from another friend of mine, and it worked out really, really well. There's a particular line in that song that I think is so fantastic. It's just perfect. Because it says the last verse, right? Right now, they're just a big cloud of dust, but pretty soon I'm going to do something stupid like I tend to do, and I'm going to let them loose. So if you think maybe you're the one who could save me, baby, this ain't no merry-go-round. It's 1,000 wild horses running behind me, hell-bent on running me down. I mean, I just want to write something that good once. I'd be good. I'd hang the pen up and say, "No, I'm done." You know, but Gary did a great job with that. Yeah.
Oh, you will. You will. You know, I was just struck. What is it like being in the studio with a bunch of really, really talented fellas, talented musicians, and you're all working for the common goal of putting together a tremendous song, and everybody you've got somebody that has a drum the piece that they want to do, and a mandolin, and all of that. That must be just inspiring as hell to put all that together.
Yeah, I'll draw an analogy back to the corporate gig, right? So I think one of the reasons that I was successful on the corporate side was I knew that if I got the best people and gave them what they needed and then got out of the way, good things will happen. More for once treat. So it's the same way in the studio, right? You give them the basics. Here's the song, right? We don't change the structure of the song, you know, the structure of the song and you know, the chords and the lyrics and all that. That's all me. I own that. But as they listen to it and they play it, they have ideas, you know. Let's do this here. Let's add this here. We need more strings here. We need, you know, more lead guitar. You know, you're going to play another song that's got a bunch of screaming guitar in it later, you know. We need that. Let's try that, you know. And I just kind of sit back on the couch and let them go, you know, because it's so much fun to watch them. I remember one, we were recording a song, and I had a lady named Janet Jameson was playing violin on this, and it was on it might have been on the Find a Way album, but the song was angry. It had angst. I was mad about something when I wrote this song, right? And she was playing, and it was cool. I mean, she is unbelievably talented, right? And she's playing, but it just didn't fit. It wasn't working, And so she played a couple of times, and I walked in and I said, Janet, let's talk about this for a minute. I said, I just want you to know that right here in this passage of this song, I am really mad. I am really pissed off. My heart's been broken. Bad things have happened. Somebody stole my truck, whatever, right? I said, so I need you to reflect that. And she looked at me, and she has a beautiful smile. She looked at me and she smiled and she winked at me and she said, second husband, hit record. Done. Yeah, it was great.
By the way, Worf wants to know what the hell you're doing and who are you talking to?
Yeah, well, Worf's, this is his snack time, Yeah. So what he likes to be involved. Usually when I'm playing music, he comes and sleeps at my feet.
Cool.
But right now he's decided that he wants to be involved, so he needs a treat because he's a good dog. Yeah.
And by the way, I just wanted to underscore what you said about your corporate background, and that is that to be successful in the corporate world, you surround yourself with people that are generally smarter than you, that can do things better than you, and you then give them the license to be creative and do what they need to do to make it work.
Yeah, it's the same with music, really, if you think about it. One of the things that I was always adamant about in the corporate world, and I'm the same thing with music, is if you don't make mistakes, you're not working hard enough. You don't have enough to do, right? And making mistakes is good. It's good because you're going to learn the things that you don't want to do later. And I think it's sad that there's a lot of folks that think, they have to micromanage and do all that craziness. I don't want to do that. My team just knew if they needed something, I'd get it for them. If something bad happened, I would take care of what I called the air cover, right? So, if something was broken or something just didn't work or whatever, I got that. They don't need to be worrying about the politics and the drama. They need to go figure out what's wrong and make it work, right? And so I was in charge of air cover. That was me. I was the Air Force, man.
You know what the interesting thing about that is that when you do that, you develop loyalty amongst the troops that they'll follow you anywhere because they know they can, and that they can win.
But I think what you could really do from my perspective, either way, is particularly with folks that are earlier on in their careers, right? They can learn that that's how you manage. That's how you do things. It's very rarely do you see the leader out in front of the herd of people pulling them along. More likely, the leader is at the back and he's just supporting as things move forward. I don't know. Maybe we should learn that in the United States these days. Just saying.
You think?
Maybe instead of calling ourselves leaders, maybe we ought to just learn to be one. Just saying.
And I couldn't agree more. It would be nice if the folks who would like to be our leaders actually, I don't know, led. That would be good. And provided, us with. Anyway, we could get into politics, but I'm not going to go there because that's.
We have to wait until after the next song.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Speaking of which, the next song that we're going to play is More Than Meets the Eye. What is that song? Where did you develop that song from?
Well, we got a nice little feed into it. Yeah. So I'm a bit of a news junkie. Okay. Yeah. I like to watch the news. I struggle calling it news these days. It's more opinions, right? But I love to watch it and see what's going on in the world and see how different things are accepted and understood by different groups of our society. So we have all these, cable news networks, and each one of them has their own brand and their own thing, and, their own philosophy, clearly. And so when I watch the news, right, I have a rule that I change the channel about every 15 to 20 minutes. Right.
Sound rule.
It's fascinating to find out that Station A is obsessed with this, but Station D has no idea it's even happened. You don't even hear about it. Station B might be fascinated with the latest tweet, while Station C might be, their breaking news might be, somebody just has a new painting. Nobody knows, right? And to me, it is a fascinating conundrum that we have in the United States. And more than meets the eye is really an effort to get out of the weeds, right? So I think that we could get so locked in on, whatever's going on today, right? Whatever the breaking news is today, the news flash, right? We could get so locked into that we forget to take a step back and remember the old adage, can't see the forest for the trees, right? So get out of the weeds a bit, kind of take an overall look at what's going on in society today, and then try to figure out why. That's the fascinating thing. That'll keep you up at night, by the way.
Yes, it will.
Try to figure out why, and more than meets the eye is really a statement, not left, right, black, white, whatever. Pick a polarization that we have in the United States today. It doesn't matter. We have a million of them, right? It's not one way or the other. It's a look at all of it, right? All of it. There may be more to all of this than meets the eye. I'm not going to develop my own conspiracy theories. I'm not going to develop my own conspiracy website, right? But it'd be interesting just to take a look, take a look at it. Use your own brain. My dad used to say that the impetus behind education is to teach you how to think, not to teach you what to think. And when you hear some of the news stations say it's our job to tell America what to think, I won't tell you what 4 letters that station came from. But it's our job to tell you what to think, because you don't know. We're special. We're the elite. We know more than everybody else. So I don't believe that. And watching today's news and watching the stuff that's going on in the world today, even Worf gets upset about it because he knows that there's more to this than meets the eye.
Exactly. Well, you and I are of the same generation, and I remember when there was a time when you would go to CBS and you'd watch Walter Cronkite, the news, and you could trust Father Walter to tell you the truth and to present the news in an unbiased fashion.
That's some level, but it's a business, right? And this is a lot of times, I think, what we forget, right? It's a business. They live on ratings. They have to get ratings. The better ratings they get, the better sponsors they get. The better sponsors they get, the more money they make. So it's a business, right? And so they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what their sponsors would like for them to tell you.
And how they can rile the most people up and to go to their banner and say, yeah, you guys are right, and what you're saying is right. And the cross, it's gotten so bad that you can't. You're right. If you go to channel A and they're talking about something, and you go to channel D, they're talking about something completely different. And now there's E and F that are even talking about more extreme things. It's getting crazy.
Yeah, but it's entertaining as hell. I mean,
it is.
It's entertaining as hell. So you're going to play more than meets the eye. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story. Okay.
Yep.
I got contacted right after that land because we pushed it. right? It came out first before any of the other songs on the EP, right? And we did that on purpose because I wanted it to come out before the election in last November. So we fast-tracked it through the studio and through the mastering and, through all that stuff. And we got it out, and I got contacted, okay, by 2 different television shows, okay, that are very, very popular. I will not use the names of the hosts, but I will tell you that one is extremely what I call the ludicrously liberal left, okay, and the other one is the ridiculously righteous right, okay. And I got called from each of those, okay, because they wanted to use this song as on their show because they thought that it really exemplified what the message that they wanted to send. Now, just say it, it's not a left or right song, right? Yeah. I could have made a bunch of money, but I really struggled with having the left and the right not having the intelligence to understand what I was saying. They just wanted to use it to perpetuate their agendas and their particular narrative. And so I told them both no.
It's interesting, Bill, because if you had said yes to one of them and no to the other one, then suddenly you would have been branded by a segment of the country as being X rather than Y, and we're not going to listen to that because of X. And anyway.
Yeah, so this is one of the challenges we have in our society, and it's one of the things that if you want to get Worf fired up, you talk about this, right? This really fires Worf up. We absolutely love to put people in boxes. We love to say, you're that guy, you're this guy. You think that, therefore you must be. Therefore you must be, right? If and or but then, right? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We see it in music, right? Yep. My music has been called folk. It's been called country. I won an award as a rock album of the year. I had a song that won awards for the blues song of the year, right? We want so desperately to be able to compartmentalize everybody into a box because we're comfortable with that. Okay. Right. Well, you know what? Comfortable don't work, man. Sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone and see what's really going on. And I'm not a fan of the boxes. And you are exactly right. Had I allowed, one of those shows or both of those shows, that would have been a fun battle to watch, right? Had I allowed that to happen, I would have then been branded into their narrative. And sorry, I don't believe any one of them, and I'm not going there. Not who I am.
You are an independent fella, and you're going to follow your own heart and go your own way. And that's one of the messages behind the show is that I'm after getting rid of hate, division, and fear, and recognizing that we're all in this together. And if we only could work together, we could accomplish great things. We used to do that. World War II is an example.
Yeah, my dad was in World War II, 82nd Airborne, World War II, jumped into the Battle of the Bulge, was a POW in a German prison camp, got shot on his way down. Those were different days, and that was a different society and certainly a different generation. So we could all learn from that. Yeah.
I know your dad's passed, but I still want to thank you for his service.
My dad was a rock star. Just saying, not some dude standing on a stage with a guitar, right? My dad was a rock star. And, what a great inspiration to me. So.
Very good. Well, you know what? We're going to play More Than Meets the Eye. And this is Bill Abernathy. And this is a great song. You'll like it. Thank you.
There's more to this than meets the eye. Decisions based on biased lies. determining who lives and dies, whose freedoms are lost, whose justice is blind. There's so much more to these than meets the eye. It's happening around us. It's so real, so very treasonous. When the truths we hold so dear are cast into shadow, the rose-colored glasses adopted by the masses shade the truth, compelling all just to follow. The facts is there reported, so biased, so distorted by those who are paid to fabricate disillusion. False flag indoctrination running rapid through the nation down a primrose path that's leading us to ruin. Don't you know that there's more to these than meets the eye? Decisions based on biased lies, determining who lives and dies, whose freedoms are lost, whose justice is blind. There's more to this than meets the eye. When leaders dictate sacrifice, when freedom's lost to compromise, there's so much more to this than meets the eye. The pure misinformation, the mental masturbation, where the talking heads propagate their agendas. The facts are all negotiable, their talking points disposable, all designed just to keep you fooled till this November. Don't you know that there's more to this than meets the eye? Decisions based on biased lies, determining who lives and dies, whose freedoms are lost, whose justice is blind. There's more to this than meets the eye. When leaders mandate sacrifice, when freedom's lost to compromise, there's so much more to this than meets the eye. There's more to these than meets the eye. When leaders mandate your sacrifice, when your freedom is lost to their compromise, there's so much more to these, so much more to these, so much more to these than meets the
That is Bill Abernathy, and I gotta tell you, that had me jumping. I want to take you back, ladies and gentlemen, to a time where the late '60s that would have been a top 10 hit in the tradition of some of the great songs, the great protest songs that were about what was going on at that time and what's going on at this time. It would have been an anthem back then, and I hope it is today. I hope that how's it doing?
It's extremely well, extremely well. So I think of all the songs that we've had, there's been dozens, right? I think that one probably got the most interaction on social media. That it was shared from page to page to page to page thousands of times, and there were a lot of people that they had a few comments. Maybe, going on with that, because, oftentimes, much like the television stations we talked about, right? You hear something and you hear it from your rose colored glasses, which is, I mentioned that in the song, right? And so you're hearing it from your perspective. And of course, you're going to use that, if at all possible, to perpetuate your concepts. So,
yes, indeed. And because of social media, everybody's got a platform. And
exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's got a platform. They can say anything that they like, and I won't go into it, but they can say anything they like, whether it has facts behind it or not.
Yeah. So I have a theory about social media, if you'd really like for me to tell you.
We've got about 5 minutes.
I'll make it really, really brief. Oftentimes the personalities that you see on social media are not the real people's personalities. It's pretty easy to say and do really ridiculous things, right? And totally unvetted and really, stupid things, as bad as I hate to use the word, right? When that you don't have to talk to somebody, Now we all use social media. Everybody, you do, I do. It's a big part of our business, right? But at the end of the day, maybe, just maybe, before you hit share on that next political thought, or you hit share on that next poorly informed idea, right? You might want to go actually have a face-to-face conversation with somebody to say, hey, man, do you think this makes sense? Just say it.
Absolutely. Well, there are some folks that get on social media and they're after the clicks, and they will say whatever they can that they think is going to get them the most clicks, and which, of course, sadly, just like the media, it's all about the money.
Sure. The more clicks you get. I mean, I talk about that a bit on another song called Cry Wolf. So if your audience wants to hear another one that's kind of along the same vein as More Than Meets the Eye, Cry Wolf was a big hit for us off a previous album. And it talks about that. It talks about how you play to the clicks. The more money you make, the more clicks you get, right?
Yep. I don't like that, but that's just me. So Bill Abernathy has been our guest today, and as I like to do, Bill, I want to give you a couple of moments to I'm going to step aside and you tell your audience who's listening anything you want them to know.
Wow. In 2 minutes, right? Yeah. So I got to do a brain dump in 2 minutes. Yeah.
You can ask me. You can ask me.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, all I've really got to say is this: in today's society and where we are, whether you're a musician or a corporate person or whoever, right? Please just strive to be yourself, and don't play the games. Don't get sucked into the day-to-day drama that goes on into the world. Actually go talk to somebody. I think that if you maybe, I live in a building full of people, and one of the things that I attempt to do every day is to talk to one or two of my neighbors, not on social media, not on text, right? But to go and actually say, hey, how you doing? What do you think about this? What's your opinion of this? I think that if we would do that and get, off of electronic media, we would find, just saying, that we're not as messed up as we think we are on social media. We'll also find out that maybe the news that we're hearing, the latest poll, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys like polls, but polls are always wrong, right? Polls are a bit like forecasts. This is part of my corporate gig. Forecasts are always wrong. Some are useful, right?
Yes.
And polls are the same thing, and most of them are so biased anyway that they're really not going to tell you too much. But do yourself a favor and go talk to people, right? Sit down, have a legitimate, intelligent conversation. And you will find, as I have, and I'm sure you have too, Kevin, that when people have to step away from their avatars that they live on in social media and they have to have a really legitimate conversation, I think you find out that maybe we're a lot closer than what we're being told we are.
Couldn't agree more. That was a wonderful thing to say, Bill. Thank you so much for saying it. I want to say this, by the way. Go to BillAbernathy.com, right?
Yes.
And I want you to do this for me. Go buy a CD from him. And I mean buy the CD. Don't stream it. Download it. He deserves to get paid for what he does. Streaming, he doesn't get paid like diddly. And downloading, it's still diddly, but it's less diddly.
Wait a minute, Kevin. I don't understand. I mean, you don't think that a musician can subsist on 0.00067 cents per stream? 0.0006, that's 3 zeros. 6-7 cents a stream?
If I were the streaming services, I would be embarrassed to put that out there as an actual number.
Yeah, they created a tremendous model. But since you mentioned it, yeah, if you go to my website and you purchase the CDs and stuff, there's T-shirts and stuff, and do that always comes personalized directly for me. I do that. I don't third party that out to anybody. So yeah, go check it out if you want. If you want to listen to the stuff, just pick up a CD, pick it. I think there's a bundle out there. You could get a bunch of stuff for a little bit or nothing, So, but it all comes personalized, and I do appreciate it.
That's awesome. Bill Abernathy has been our guest, and go to his website, BillAbernathy.com. And Bill, if you stay right there for a second, I got to do this, and I'll be right back. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.